if we released it 3 years ago, I don't think it would have fit the times almost. Like now that civilization is ending and everything's falling apart, like here's at least some good music to be the soundtrack for it.
Richard Patrick leans into the heaviest and angriest thing he's ever done alongside renowned photographer and vocalist Jim Louvau in their new collaboration, A Place to Kill. A Place to Kill's debut EP will be unleashed this Friday, June 5th, and I am very happy to chat with Jim and Richard ahead of this exciting release. We are gearing up for the release of the self-titled EP from A Place to Kill. How is release week treating you guys so far?
It's pretty good, actually. A lot of cool things are happening. We're excited. And I can't wait to release the whole damn thing at once and not stagger it out and be weird and say like, okay, here's a new single. Here's another single a week later. Like, we're not doing that. We're just dumping the whole thing out one time. It makes me happy.
A lot of people have been asking you guys about like pre-orders and, how can we get a physical copy of this album? And I really love that you guys actually, well, now you've got merch, you've got t-shirts, and you are offering up the album physically, but not in a traditional sense. Can you tell me about the A Place to Kill KiTAlbum?
Yeah, that's a whole new thing that they're doing in South Korea. It's pretty popular with the kids over there in South Korea, and we wanted to be a part of that kind of crazy trend and hopefully bring it to America. And it's really cool. There's this like, I'm going to say dongle for lack of a better word, but you hook it up to your phone, you download the app, you hook it up to your phone, and it gives you access to the music, the lyrics, a chat room where you can like hang out with other A Place to Kill fans, and the videos and stuff like that. And it's really just another great way for, bands to kind of, sell something real, as opposed to just people streaming it and, and quickly, kind of forgetting about it,
Absolutely.
It's not vinyl, but it's not streaming. It's a little bit of both. And you get an actual physical thing that you can hang on to for, forever. And it's a fun new format, and we like it. We do it over in Filter, and I've got 2 releases on KiTAlbum. And they're not that hard to make. And so it's a lot of fun, and it's just a new way to, to kind of give something new to the world,
I love it. I'm a sucker for physical media, even if it's not traditional as this is. Having something to hold in my hand, you can connect to it so much deeper, even if it's just a small little thing. So I love that you guys went that route for sure.
Yeah.
What if we told you that there was going to be another physical piece that you just had to wait just a little bit longer to find out about?
I would be super stoked.
You're going to be super stoked.
Hell yeah. That's super exciting. I know a lot of people are like consistently bugging you guys about pre-orders, physical. So this is great news. And I know a lot of people are also excited to dig into this full EP in one shot. I love to digest something all at once. Sit through it, listen to it a few times. It resonates so much deeper for me. So I love that you guys are doing that.
It's important when you're a new band or a new project to give people a larger sample size than a song or 2 at a time, so they can kind of get familiar with the project and see how it makes them feel, see if they like it, see if they hate it. Like, just not try to chase them down every 6 weeks to get them to listen to another song. So this was a way to sort of, hi, this is who we are. You'll get a pretty good taste of what this is, and let's see if you're into it.
I love it. Kind of digging into the music, because we are about to get a full taste of A Place to Kill. Jim, you're handling lead vocals, and Richard, you're kind of driving the music and production. How did that fall into place with this project?
It was wild. I was working on music during COVID era, and I just came up with more of an electronic vibe on a lot of it. And I was like, well, this isn't Filter. This is going to be something new. And I was whispering vocals into a microphone, like like the way Jim screams into a microphone, and like I don't have his ability to scream like that. So I was whispering and it sounded cool too. So, but I was whispering and then I was like, but to really drive this home, I'm wondering, I wonder what Jim would do to this. And so I sent it to Jim and Jim was like, yeah, I can scream over that. And boom, he was in the studio and we were working on it and we did like 3 or 4 songs. And that became the first EP. And yeah, it was just really easy. It was really fun to work on something that was different than Filter. I love Filter. It's a blast to do Filter stuff, but it was also fun to kind of lean more into EDM and hip hop and trap metal and industrial, and not have a guitar on every 5 seconds. Playing guitar. And it's also fun to do really heavy music. And, I don't know about you, but I've noticed the world has started falling apart. So why not be the soundtrack to that? That was kind of the thinking. Like, if we released it 3 years ago, I don't think it would have really fit the times almost. Like, now that civilization is ending and everything's falling apart, like, here's at least some good music to be the soundtrack for it. So that was kind of the reason why it's coming out now as opposed to 3 or 4 years ago when we wrote it.
When you guys gave me that advanced listen of the EP, that's exactly how I described it. I wanted to go into it a little bit blind and kind of like completely form my own opinions. And I'm like, dude, the world is on fire and this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
You know?
You get it.
Actually what we figured out,
I really like the story, of how you guys have been crossing paths for decades. I really like, the connections you've had on and off here and there, always missing each other. And, Jim interviewing Richard before a show in 2008 with Filter, and then Richard ending up at the second ever There Is No Us show at the Roxy. And then you guys just kept crossing paths, being connected so much over all of these years. At what point did you realize, okay, like, we need to dive in and just do this as a full project?
I think it was just a lot of respect for his ability to sing and project and emote. And I just was like, well, he needs the perfect bed of music for that voice. And I just remember we worked on Murica, the song Murica, and he literally almost blew my microphone up that I had. And, I just remember thinking, man, he was amazing. And in fact, it almost overpowered my vocals a little bit. We had to tuck it down a little bit further than I, than I was expecting. And but then I remember, I just remember getting like The Killing Field. I remember getting that song going, and I just remember like, Jim, what do you think you could do over this? Like, this would be perfect for you. You should try this. And it was basically that simple. It was like, I always knew that he had this powerful voice, and I'd heard it on stage with Filter, and because at one point he was in the audience and I stuck the mic in front of him and he went, rah! And I was like, whoa, that was huge, and it was for the song No Love. I get to this point where I say, no love. And then I put it in front of him and he went, no love. And I was like, whoa, that's the white noise scream, that only a few people have that ability, that this really just powerful scream. And so when it came time to do like A Place to Kill stuff, it was just really easy to just call him up and just be like, what do you think? Get over here and work on it.
That is so rad. Jim, when you contributed these backing vocals on Murica in 2020, did that feel like, okay, this is going to grow into something more? We're definitely going to push this. We're going to bring this collaboration full circle. Did you know at that time that was going to progress to this?
No, not at all. If anything, it was kind of a cool icebreaker for us to work on something together. I was just really, I remember being excited to be asked to, be on a filter track. I also remember being really nervous because I had never worked with Richard, with him recording my vocals. And I just remember really like thinking about it pretty heavily before I did it, and kind of I was curious to see how we were going to work together. And it was a really great experience. And it still took a while after that for us to kind of get more serious about working together. And basically every time we would talk on the phone every 3 or 4 months, we would always talk about working together. And at some point I was like, you keep talking about it. Like, what, are we going to do it sometime? And then the last time I said that, about 15 minutes later, I had music for the first time, and I was like, all right, he's serious. We're going to try to do something. I didn't know what it was going to turn into, but it was definitely a lot more, since we had been in the studio together, it was a lot less scary at that point. And it's also one of those things where it's like, I want to see where he works out of. I want to see his process. I want to see how that aligns with the way that I do things. All that stuff's important when you're trying to get to know somebody creatively when you're creating music together.
Well, let's kind of dig into the EP itself. You mentioned it briefly, Richard. The EP opens with The Killing Field. I mean, that is a really strong opening statement there. What does that track represent for you as the opening statement to the first introduction to A Place to Kill?
Well, that track, when we got done recording that track, I played it for like 2 or 3 of my peers, and they were blown away. They were like, holy shit, how does that guy keep his voice, from, just, like fading away or whatever? How does he maintain that scream? And I said, the guy just does it. Like, he's the most insane screamer on the planet. And it was really cool because I was like, this is cool, right? And they were like, damn, this is really good. This is really good. And so I started getting excited and like, okay, now let's just keep going and doing more. So The Killing Field was like, that was going to be the name of the band, actually, like, but it was taken. And so we came up with A Place to Kill as kind of like the final kind of version on it. Just the idea of like the battlefield or the conflict, or, when we go on stage to kill, and where the action is, you know what I mean? And, yeah, and then it goes into Drowning in a Sea of Sorrow, and the whole EP just says so much, and it was so much fun to work on it. It took like a week or two to do. I mean, it was literally like, so the only thing stopping us from like working is the fact that he lives in Phoenix and I live in Southern California. Every time we get together, there's a whole bevy of new music, and to be honest with you, if you like the first EP, you're gonna love the second EP, because the second EP is a little bit more focused and a little bit more. It's even more exciting, and that's really, awesome to know that we have this like this backpack of armament, to go into battle with, like if you love the first EP, well, you're gonna love the second, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have that in our back pockets.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a pin in that because I got to ask you about that. I want to talk about more of the tracks on this EP. I have to tell you, my favorite song is What Feels Right. That for me was a standout track. I really liked it. Was more of like a controlled groove. There was a little more guitar presence on that track, and the lyrics, of course, that was my favorite track on the EP. So I wanted to ask you guys, did that one, come together did you guys mean for that to sound a little different? Because it does sound a little different than the other tracks on the album. Did you mean for that to happen? Or did it kind of just come out that way naturally and the lyrics were just perfect for now times?
Yeah, no, it just the same kind of method for, I go on the internet and I mine loops and I look for different, textures and I'll play with the keyboard or I'll mess around with the guitar a little bit. The guitar, not so much with A Place to Kill, but still I'll grab a guitar and I just, working on something, being inspired by it, working on it for 3 or 4 hours and then going like, okay, cool. Now it's ready for vocals. And then Jim and I think I came up with the line, hey, hey,
It was, hey, you got to do what feels
you
right.
got to do it feels
Yeah.
right. And then Jim's like, no, we got to change it to hate. It was right along the lines of everything else. Just like, ooh, this is cool. Let's make this 3.5 minutes long and
Yeah.
come up with these different parts for it. And yeah, a lot of people are gravitating towards that song, which is wild because, we we were like, man, jet engine's the shit, like we had our own plan. But it's like anything else, like you gotta kind of let the audience choose.
And I really liked the foreshadowing with Jet Engine because you did an interview at a radio station recently and you were like, oh yeah, Jim is a jet engine of fuck you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I listened to the EP and I'm like, oh, hey, look at that.
He is the jet engine of fuck you. There's no question. And that was coined by our friend Sean Bedman.
That is a great descriptor.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was,
we've actually our artist friend made a little statue that's this big of a jet engine screaming and Jim's. It's the band's mascot now.
I love it. Digging more into those lyrical themes, kind of taking it across the entire EP. Obviously, we've got a lot to pull from in this day and age. So we've got like the degradation, the greed, the lies, abuse, anger, fear, frustration. So you, Jim, are the vocalist. Are you also taking more of a lead on the lyrics for this? Or are you guys kind of splitting those duties?
you kind of split it.
Okay.
Sometimes even like with What Feels Right, he gave me that one line that he had whispered when he sent me the track, and I immediately started thinking of other things. I was like, this is a really cool building block, and I think this. I remember he's like, I feel like this song could be like played at halftime at like a sporting event, and I'm like, totally.
It really does have a vibe to it where you could just hear like sporting people, like sports people freak out about it. Obviously not gonna, but
But it was
it's
like,
got like a vibe to it. That's why I put the crowd noise in at the end.
Yeah.
Like the stadium crowd noise.
but basically when we'd work in the studio, we would finish something, and then he would give me another song to work on for the next day, and that was kind of my homework. And sometimes there would be a little bit of lyrics. Sometimes it was like, hey, come in with an idea tomorrow and some lyrics and we can finish it together. And we kind of just got into that routine, and we've kind of continued doing it that way. Where it's like, if you have something, a little bit of inspiration, a vibe, it could be like, hey, I want a song that this is what it's talking about. This is what it means. This is what it should be. Then I can run with that. And there's some storytelling going on there.
We have this new song. It's called Mask Marauders. And what is the lyric was the lyric was
Which one? That I got no allegiance
I got no allegiance
to a
to
punk ass bitch like you.
I love that.
like it's just like so perfect. I got no allegiance to a punk ass bitch like you. Like for some reason it just popped in my head, and it was like that's just the way we feel. Like so.
The best part about that
Cool.
chorus too is right after. So that was such a cool lyric and part of the chorus. And then when music stops, I immediately have this line that just goes "fuck you" and it's boom right into the next part of the verse or the chorus.
We'll send you a link and you can check it out on sample.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Thank you.
one of that's one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
And again, like the first 7 songs were us kind of figuring things out together, kind of getting used to the process and just kind of seeing like what it sounded like and if anyone we even knew thought it was cool or would care about it. Now we're a little bit more focused. Now we know that we're on to something, and these first couple songs that we already have done for the next EP are really exciting. So we're already off to a really good start. So we're gonna try to get back in the studio later this month and knock out some more stuff and try to get this next EP ready for the fall.
Do you guys plan on taking A Place to Kill live?
Yes, at some point it will be live at some point, but we gotta build it up and get it to a proper, amount of people online. And it's got to be the right scenario. Like it has to be, we have to go on tour with someone really cool, or we have to play it at a special event kind of thing, and make sure that we have some video of it and stuff like that. Because I mean, it's way more EDM, world. It's me with 2 speakers on the side of me, and I'm basically, in charge of the music, and then Jim kind of running around the stage and being his crazy ass self. And but yeah, there's no drums. We're not going to get a drummer, or guitar player, or bass player, or anything like that. It's way more EDM world. It's way more res, Dead Mouse,
Non-traditional rock.
Yeah,
setting.
We have way more in common with Scarlord than we have with
Something you're hearing on active rock radio.
rock and roll.
Yeah.
Like the 4-piece, 5-piece rock and roll band,
Yeah, I am very happy to hear that you guys do plan to tour this. That is very exciting. EP
Yeah.
number 2, also very exciting. Are you guys going to release that one the same way and just unleash it all at once, or would you consider dropping
No,
singles here and there?
That's going to be way more like what the record company wanted to do, what the distribution wanted to do. They wanted to we should piecemeal it out and grow our audience. And we didn't want to do that for the first EP, but for the second EP, that sounds like okay, because you'll always have that first EP's worth of music that's out there. So if people find it on Spotify and they go, oh cool, there's a new song. Okay, well, where's the rest of this? And they hit the artist button. You can go in and hear at least a full EP's worth of music and know whether or not you want to dig into it or whatever. But all of my favorite bands put records out, and I'm old, but all of my favorite bands put records out. They had singles that went to radio, and you would have to tune into radio stations to hear it. But at some point they released the record, and you could sink your teeth into a whole, bunch of work. And that's what I wanted the first EP to be like. I wanted it to be like, man, this is a whole body of work, and but it's made for attention span deficit people, by only being 6 songs, which is more like an LP used to be. LPs used to be before CDs. LPs used to be 7 or 8 songs, and then they went up to 14 because record companies were crazy and you could fit more music on CDs. But enough about the history of all the different platforms. But yeah, no, the second EP, we're going to kind of stagger them out one by one and get people to kind of a new treat every so often, kind of thing. But they always have that first EP to listen to. So yeah, there's a band called Pixel Grip, and they released a few singles. But it was when they dropped the record, that's when I really could dig in and go to the album and listen to the whole album and appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's the same way when Crosses came out. Crosses was it was a whole record. It was yeah, man, I want to hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
it's like important when it's a new project specifically, because there's new music that comes out every second of every day. There's, like we're dealing with like AI music coming out on streaming platforms left and right. Like probably tons of songs have come out since we've been on this interview with you. So it's like one of those things where it's like, we're brand new. You don't know what this is yet. Here's a big enough sample size to see if you're into this. And we don't have to try to find you when we decide to come out with another song. Like you'll have an idea of who we are and what we do.
Yeah, and then for the second EP, you're getting pinged every couple of weeks with new music, you know what I mean? So it's almost cool because we're finishing the second EP. So we're gonna like see how the first EP does, but we're gonna enjoy making the second EP and kind of reacting to the happiness that we're creating, the hellacious happiness that we're creating for people. You know what I mean? Like it's this is great for me because A Place to Kill has been on the back burner for 4 years because we just didn't know when to release it. And now that it's coming out, now I can really sink my teeth into for the next 3 or 4 months, really sink my teeth into A Place to Kill and have a lot of fun releasing new music and like we're gonna get a song done and it's gonna be just in time to release it for the second EP, and then we're gonna continue to, you know what I mean? There's so much work to do. So it's really like a whole record is coming out like this year, like a whole 14 song EP, or LP.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that we're doing it this way. This is a little bit more unique and I dig it. It's fun.
I dig it too. I'm excited. Do you plan on releasing a full length?
I mean, you could stick the 2 EPs together and release that on vinyl and call that the first main record. That'll probably happen. But I mean, EP or, the next body of work will happen probably next year at some point. And because I have to release a filter record in the spring. So I would see maybe, but again, with a Place to Kill, our records, we do them in 2 weeks. Like we did this EP in like literally a week and a half's worth of work, like this first EP. I mean, it came together that quickly. So with that kind of ability to just kind of, get something out, like, you know what I mean? Like it's so fast to do it. Filter records take a long time to make, you know what I mean? Because there's 4 people playing instruments, there's drums that have to be recorded, there's other songs, there's other things. I like to work with different musicians on it and stuff like that. So filter records seem to take a little bit longer. But A Place to Kill records are fast. Like we get it done and the results speak for themselves. Like it rocks and it's really easy. So I'm looking forward to a whole summer's worth of A Place to Kill to work on.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'm excited as a fan, and I'm excited for everybody else to dig into it as well. And I love that you guys get to go on this adventure together. And it's so rare to find somebody you work with this well. So the fact that you guys can do this, and like you said, you just keep busting them out so quickly. I love that. And I'm stoked that you guys finally connected. I'm stoked that we finally get to hear it. And I can't wait to see what you guys do next. I know you said you do plan to tour this. Do you know when?
Oh, we're not going to go on tour with this right away. We're going to very cautiously and optimistically kind of piece that together as it happens.
Totally.
Don't have an agent. We're not really looking to do it live just yet, but we will. But it's kind of, we got to see how this stuff goes, gets online.
We got to have more music out too. That's part of the reason.
Yeah.
Like the idea of touring is we get asked about vinyl and touring more than anything, and that happens online. It happens in interviews. The truth is that we need more music out before we could even think about touring. It doesn't mean we couldn't play a show or like put a situation together, but like a full blown tour, there's a lot that goes behind that.
Like the first A Place to Kill show has to be awesome. Like it has to be like an event.
Yeah.
We don't want to just like, oh, we're playing the Regal Beagle down the street, and, blah, 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 which I don't know if you remember, but that's the bar from Three's Company. I don't know why I
I
chose
love Three's Company.
that. I don't know why I chose that, but
Yeah,
like,
Mr. Furley would be trying to pay us at the end of the night.
you know what
No.
I mean? Like
You're not getting your money.
we wanna really like show up with the goods and like make sure that it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Thank you guys so much. This has been a really fun chat. This has been a really in-depth look at everything you guys have created, what you guys are working on, and I appreciate your time so much. Is there anything else you want to, let everyone know before we let you go?
Vinyl is coming.
Vinyl is coming.
We will tell more soon about vinyl. And we've obviously spilled the beans that there is another EP coming. So I feel like there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, we got a lot of great stuff. It's very exciting. It's very exciting to put this out.